All right, so, hey, just want to thank everybody for coming out today and sitting there and hearing about esports and also branding. Branding not only in education, but also branding just, anywhere. Some of the things hopefully you'll see today at Mediatechnologies, you'll see stuff that they can do as far as with all their different finishes, laminates, colors, polys, and everything else that hopefully you'll see. And even if it's not an education that, project that you'll see that can go over to, the corporate in that and be utilized. I've actually known and been working with Mediatechnologies since they first started. I've known the owner, Randy, since we were infants in this industry. We didn't have gray hair, we actually had hair and that fun stuff. They're just a phenomenal company to work with. They make sure that they make it right. And then they also make sure that if something goes awry, that they get it corrected and get it fixed. They always want to do what's right for you and your client. And they'll never leave you hanging. They'll do what they can to make it up. And then Melanie is part of the team, and she is going to head up this presentation about esports and branding. And with that, I'll turn it over to Melanie.
Thanks, Tim. Yes, my name is Melanie Ghani, and I'm the Director of Strategy and Corporate Development for Mediatechnologies. So I've been a rep, I've been a dealer, I am design educated, I've been in the furniture industry for 25 years, half of which were commercial furniture focused in the education market. So I speak the language of many of you guys on this call. As Tim mentioned, our goal today is to share some insights surrounding this perplexing world of esports, right? And to introduce you to our branding capabilities. Because as we all know, branding in education, hospitality, healthcare, corporate, whatever, it can not only elevate your designs, but it can also differentiate your client's business in a huge way, right? So without further ado, who is Mediatech? So for those of you who don't know, we are a US-based commercial furniture manufacturer. We are headquartered in Shelby, Michigan, where our products are designed and manufactured. We produce high quality, innovative furniture and casework solutions for K-12, university, and public library markets. So our focus in these core markets has provided us with some valuable insight as to how our customers, what our customers' needs are in terms of product, design, and procurement. So our services include things like spec writing, customized solutions, budgetary analyses, space planning, design support to the A&D community by way of 2D and 3D line drawings, as well as some 3D renderings, which we're going to go through a little later on in the slides. As most of you may know, we actually unveiled our new showroom last fall. So we invite you guys to schedule a tour and see some of these products in person.
Now, just to let you know too, that she does have those markets up, but we have done a lot of projects in the corporate world and in just about any market that you can sit there and go in all levels, because a circulation desk is nothing more than a reception desk. So we've done high end, we've done, stuff that you would think would be, in a lower budget, but it's made at a higher quality. Just wanted to sort of throw that in.
Thanks.
Thanks for sharing all of this about you guys, Melanie. And we did enjoy going to the showroom. Actually, just all of us, we went a couple months ago, and it was pretty awesome to see. So let us know if you would like to tour the showroom. We're happy to set something up. But can you tell us a little more about esports?
Sure. So esports literally means electronic sports, right? Esports by definition is the platform that turns online multiplayer PC video gaming into a spectator sport by way of streaming services like YouTube and Twitch. So it mimics the experience of watching a sporting event, except instead of watching a physical event, spectators watch video gamers, aka athletes, compete. So competitive teams range in sizes from 3 to 6. And like traditional sports, esports athletics are represented in K-12, collegiate, and professional leagues. It generates millions in revenue, provides millions in college scholarships, and drafts pro esports athletes. It is highly popular. Some would argue it's more popular than traditional sports. So with a global fan base of over 400 million. The League of Legends, which is the largest professional league in the world, hosted their world championship last year and had more viewers than the NFL Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, and the World Series combined. Even ESPN maintains an esports coverage with the latest news and league results. So no traditional sports teams have mastered the global connectivity the way that esports has. So if you're still don't really understand what all the hype is about, esports is one of the fastest growing industries in the world with a global market valued at 1.44 billion and an audience of 450 million in 2023 and projected to increase to 5.48 billion by the year of 2029. So it's no secret why Forbes magazine has coined esports the new college football.
Wow, that's really incredible, Melanie. Can you talk to us, because most of us are not going to be designing giant esports stadiums, I'm guessing. Can you talk to us a little more about what it has to do with education, like you mentioned here?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've talked about esports, obviously, as a profession really briefly. So let's talk about the esports and education, to your point. So just like there's a difference in being a professional baseball player and a baseball player in high school or college, there are some key differences when comparing the two in esports. So unlike the world of professional sports, esports and education focuses more on things like the following. So connecting, learning, and playing in and out of the classroom. So students and educators and families can experience interest-driven learning, building community and developing those marketing skills that relate to STEM and STEAM, which we'll touch on a little more later on, providing the same kind of social and emotional learning benefits as traditional sports like teamwork and leadership and sense of belonging, creating opportunities for safe and engaging spaces. And frankly, it reaches those introverts and those other students who may not otherwise participate in after school types of activities or in extracurricular sports or even traditional sports. Research shows that 80% of esports teams are comprised of students who have never participated in extracurricular activity before. Because let's face it, not all kids are born athletes or have interest in traditional sports, especially those with physical limitations. So this is where esports kind of levels that playing field, pun intended. So esports in education provides students with an alternative track to playing sports and to be an athlete. There are roughly 200 programs currently offering varsity scholarships for esports athletes, and this list continues to grow. Colleges have offered over 16 million in scholarships in 2020, according to Forbes magazine. So, I mean, it's a big deal.
Wow, that is really interesting. Sounds like there is a lot more to esports than meets the eye. Can you talk to us a little more about why schools are investing in this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to focus on three key sets of benefits and opportunities, okay, that are gained when you provide esports and education. Okay, let's start with the educational opportunities. Like I said earlier, 16+ million in esports scholarships are awarded every year. Esports curriculum and competition has proven to improve GPAs and attendance because it offers a unique after-school experience for students who may not otherwise participate, right? So athletes form these friendships, and then after being broadcasted in these competitions, they earn the respect of their peers, and this builds that confidence that carries out into their other aspects of their lives. It helps them to develop other skills, that second set of benefits that we're going to talk about now, arguably the most important, which is life skills, right? So teamwork, communication, socialization, in-game adjustments and play calling forces these athletes to communicate through their headsets. So goal setting and problem solving and perseverance, those are all at the forefront. And again, it allows those schools to kind of reach those students that may otherwise feel a little checked out. As for career opportunities, like esports teaches students marketable skills and connects STEAM principles to something they enjoy. So some of the STEAM careers associated with esports are like team management, content creation, IT, game design, graphic design, multimedia design, technology management, broadcasting, coaching, video editing, public relations, marketing, customer communication, project management, and the list goes on and on. So you can take a look here at some of the other facets and some of the other skills and career opportunities that can be channeled through the esports programs.
Those are some pretty interesting career connections. So thanks for sharing. I'm curious now, how would one even start designing an esports program?
Yeah, so the very first step, obviously, when you're thinking about, you've got a client who's thinking about esports program, is you want to kind of walk them through some of these programming questions. And again, for the sake of time, I'm not going to just read this list, but I just wanted to highlight a couple, because we're going to send this presentation to you guys after today, so you can refer back to it. But I just want to highlight a couple of the more important ones, just to kind of get you thinking about how to pose these questions. But first and foremost, what will the space be used for? Is it going to be used to compete? Is it going to be used to teach? Both? Is there an existing space and furniture or that are going to be reused or upcycled, or is everything going to be new? How many gamers and spectators do we need to accommodate? Will it be tied to a curriculum? Is there an existing infrastructure that supports these necessary bandwidths that you need if you're going to compete? What kind of games? What's the technology list look like, or the equipment list look like? And some of these can be daunting, especially that technology component. So I just want to note that we have partnered with a technology reseller, Pinnacle Network Solutions, who happens to be an esports subject matter expert. And he is available, he and his team is available, they are available to serve as a consultant if you ever need someone to assist you in that portion of the conversation, because it can get a little confusing. And then after you've determined that direction for that program, the next step is obviously creating the budget, right? You got a budget for construction, interiors, furniture, technology, all that. Again, I'm not going to read this list for you. I just wanted to point out that this is available to you, and please use it as a reference, because when you're talking to your customers about that daunting task of raising that money, these are some more of the unconventional and creative ways to tap into some of that funding, because there's more out there than people realize.
Sounds like you guys have really done your research and you have a lot to share with us to help us get started. But what else makes Mediatechnologies so unique in this arena?
So, getting ahead of myself. Well, in terms of esports capabilities, as it relates to services and products, let's start there. So we offer customization and branding capabilities to assist with soliciting those corporate sponsors and those big dollar donors. Branding capabilities as it relates to polys and paints and embroidery by way of hundreds of standard finishes, as well as we offer the ability to do custom finishes, and we'll get to that in the next slide. We also partner with the A&D community to provide them with some design services, some layout plans that include the 2Ds and the 3Ds, like I said earlier, as well as the 3D renderings. And most importantly, we design and manufacture unique solutions that are not only ergonomic and meet all the BIFMA requirements, but are capable of appropriately integrating that gaming technology, which is really important.
That's great. I'm very curious now to see what kind of unique branding opportunities you offer, because this is important not just for education, but for other markets as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So yeah, so I'm glad you asked that, because again, going back to what you just said, it's not just branding can be used. This is like the second portion of the presentation. Branding is not just to be thought of in esports, even though it is a very, very important design element within the esports environment, but corporate, healthcare, hospitality, whatever. We offer branding in 4 pretty specific ways, right? You can do it by way of the poly. So we have 18 standard MediaTek colors, which I've listed here at the bottom left. But we also offer the ability to do custom polys, where you just utilize a Pantone number for reference, and it typically carries, like in terms of chairs, it would carry like a required minimum quantity of 256. As far as paints go, we have 18 standard MediaTek color paints. We also utilize the raw colors. So for you guys that are familiar, the raw colors offer in excess of 500 plus colors. So between the standard colors and the raw colors, there's no minimum requirement for that. But we also offer the ability to do custom paint colors. If you just can't find what you need with those 518, then you can again reference a Pantone number, and we can create a custom paint for a one-time upcharge per order. We also have printing capabilities, may it be by way of an HPL or vinyl. So in terms of the vinyl, we utilize an applique that we can apply to HPL, steel, or veneer, as seen in that picture. And just a side note, our standard offering for HPLs is like 75 plus Wilson Art and Formicas, which can be accessed. There was just too many to put on the slide. So if you need to see what those standards are, you can go on our website under resources and finishes, and they're all there on our website. But if you wanted to use a different, and it doesn't have to be Formica or Wilson Art, those are just our preferred. But if you have a Pionite or whatever that you want to use because it needs to match up some other casework or other things with on the project, you can certainly request a custom HPL, a custom laminate, and we can accommodate you there.
Hey,
As far as
Melanie,
the, go
hey,
ahead.
Melanie, let me just jump in here for one quick second.
Yeah.
And let me tell you guys too, as far as there are a few companies, and I'd say a few companies that will actually do all those different laminates at no upcharge. But one of the things that Mediatechnologies does also is if there's an edge banding that matches that laminate or an edge banding that you want, which a lot of times is a big deal on it, that they will utilize those, you know, edge bandings, and it doesn't cost them any more money. It won't cost you any more money. If it costs them a little more money, or if they have to buy it by the roll, then, you know, that'll figure into that cost. But they have the wherewithal and the ability to do that. And I guess a lot of companies do, but they just won't take the time to do it. But, you know, Mediatechnologies will go through that. The other thing real quick is because, you know, some of us are colorblind, or it's tough for us to sit there and see. That chair up on the left is actually a green frame, metal frame to match the John Deere. And then plus the yellow obviously is yellow to match the John Deere. So that was one of the corporate jobs they sat there and did. So anyways, just wanted to throw that in.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah,
I'm so focused on time and 30 minutes. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, if you have a paint chip or a Pantone number, or if you want to send us in a tie, you know, you got a necktie that's got the purple you need, you know, whatever you need to use to match it up. Obviously the Pantone number is preferred because it's exact, right? We may have to
Just don't ask Pete to send in his friggin' shoe socks because Jesus Christ, $9 million.
So the other part of that printing capability, in addition to doing the vinyl applique, we also can do custom laminates where we actually print the whole sheet, right? So we print the laminate, the pattern onto the laminate, and it is the other option. There is a limitation with this option in terms of the background color. We do prefer to use Wilson Art's cross weave pattern because it allows, you know, whatever that artwork to come through a little better and the printing to be a little cleaner. So if you have that kind of opportunity, or you want to look more into that option, we'll just, you know, we'll talk it through with you what that would look like and provide some artwork for what that would look like. So the fourth option being embroidery. So we have hundreds of different high performance fabric options and combinations that you can use on our soft seating, Stinson, Mayer, Mohentum, Design Text, all the ones you know. And then we also obviously allow for our COMs.
But of course, the preferred is Stinson.
So those are our branding capabilities, just at a glance.
Well, that's awesome. It's great to hear all about your different standard colors, and I especially love the embroidery element. That's pretty
cool, right?
cool. You guys can do that. Can you talk to us a little more about how this ties in now to the designs? Do you have any work that you can show us?
Yeah, let me start here. I've got a little video that our marketing team put together that shows some of our more recent projects. I think it's a pretty great video. So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, take a couple minutes to show you this quick video, and then we'll dive into some actual renderings.
It looks like it all.
That's a neat.
pretty neat.
It was great to see all of those installs. Those are projects you guys have actually completed.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, can you talk to us a little more about what designing these esports?
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive into the fundamentals, right? I'm trying to simplify it. So once you've gotten through all that programming, the list of programming questions, and you kind of know where you're going with the space and how it's going to be used, you're going to find that there are typically two main approaches to designing esports environments in education. You're either going to have, well, two or three, let's say. You're either going to have an arena environment where the space is focused heavily on competition, or you're going to have a classroom / lab / club environment where the esports and gaming is tied to curriculum or after school activity. And then sometimes you might have both, right? You might have an arena and it's being used for classroom activity. So unlike a computer lab, there are going to be some distinct zones you're going to see within these two specific environments or types of esports environments as it relates to function. So in your arena, you're going to have a zone for gamers, spectators, commentators, storage, meeting and training, streaming, and charging. Whereas in the classroom type of esports environment, you're going to see more of a space for facilitators, students and gamers, collaboration and programming, storage, and charging. Okay, so there's just a couple of key, and you're going to see what those zones look like in those two very distinct designations.
That's awesome. But I'm still having trouble visualizing some of this and how actually, would look.
Let me show you. Okay. So let's dive into some of the actual designs. And again, just for you guys that are watching now, again, Amber's going to share this deck with you. So you're going to have these renders to look at and dissect a little more closely. I'm just going to breeze through them and highlight some of the design intent behind them. Okay. So first up, this is Hemingway High School. This is a classroom esports environment dedicated to after school activities. Kids come here during lunch for gaming and competing against one another. So let's note some of these zones that we talked about earlier. Okay, so you've got your space for your gamers, right? Your facilitator, your collaborative area. You've got your storage back here. You got charging that you see right here on this little serpentine where they can plug in and charge their devices. But I also want to note that we know that this particular space right now has been programmed and it's available for classroom or after school activities and more of a club environment. But we know that they're eventually going to grow into doing competitions more on a national level. And so we've allowed that space for that commentator when and if they do progress into that. And then we've also made sure to outfit them with student stations, which is our Cirrus gaming table, which we're going to talk a little bit more in some of the future slides. But you'll see in the next design, this allows for that technology to be housed on the other side, the viewer side of the piece, so that when they do invite spectators in and they do start to compete, they have the ability to accommodate that and to adapt and not have to go out and buy new furniture, right?
Hey, Melody, can I say one quick thing too? When you get those, so anybody who's designing or selling or whatever, as far as those rounded pieces going across, and then you have that soft seating down below. Do you not think that you can get that from two different manufacturers? Their diameters might be different than our diameters, or whoever.
Yeah, the radius. Yep.
So
very
it's
true.
much better if you keep it into one, manufacturer. Otherwise, you're going to have a SH.
You're going to have this overhang, or this guy doesn't fit flush up to that. Yeah, there's always going to be that little nuance that doesn't fit.
Sorry, just needed to.
No, great point. Excellent point. So in talking about that Cirrus, that student station, where I said we went ahead and outfitted the space so that they could allow for that technology on the viewer side to be adaptable later. So this shows you what I meant by that. So this is that Cirrus station that's equipped to manage the technology on both sides, the gamer side and the viewing side. But this is another high school design, but now we're moving away from that clubbing environment into that arena environment, right? So this is how I want to show you how some of the zones change when you move to that arena environment. I also want to note that this was an existing space, because this is what you're going to run into a lot with esports. Is they really love the concept, they love the idea. They're not really sure if students are going to take to it or how it's going to progress. And so they want to start out small, and they want to take an existing computer lab or existing classroom, and they want to just kind of see where it goes. That's kind of what happened with this guy. So when we viewed the space, we realized it was a pretty small footprint. So we recommended in taking the esports spectator zone out into the corridor by way of using a window wall for spectating outside of the actual room where the gamers are. So we have additional storage, which you can see right here. Seeing the 2D here. That's where they're going to store their backup gaming equipment. You've got multiple breakouts here and here and here. So soft seating, tables and chairs. This allows for team strategy and viewing film up on your monitor. You've got a spectator zone, like I said, out in the corridor. It's important to note that because we moved that out in the corridor, we were really conscious of making that spectator furniture multi-purpose, so that when it's game time, it's spectator. But when it's not game time and it's not esports related, this is still a communal space that can be used by the school. Okay, so I also want to highlight two other really key components when you're shifting from the clubbing environment to the arena environment. And that's the branding with the colors, right? And the acoustical products, right? Because, you know, as I mentioned earlier, branding can obviously elevate your design. It also evokes the school spirit, communicates the school purpose. But with the sound control, this is a really important design component, because gamers are constantly communicating through their headsets during their matches. So controlling that noise between players, but even more so between competitors, it is crucial to the overall design or to the success of the space. Okay.
And we also know most of the school classrooms are like bricks, you know.
Right, right. All concrete block. Yep.
Yeah.
So here is another high school arena, but really more of a multi-purpose space. So this doubles as a lab. So this is one of those where they are competing. They're not competing nationally per se. So that's why you're not going to see a commentator area per se. But you do have a means for teams to compete. But you also have lots of hubs for collaboration. So when it's actually being used as a classroom space, some of this lounge seating as well as these tables and chairs give a variety for breakout spaces for collaborative learning. We also have various touchdowns here, 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 and back here that are able to accommodate a general size classroom that will allow for things like media sharing for individual play if it's esports related, or individual work if it's a general classroom related, as well as group activities and lots of different ways. Note again the use of acoustical products on the walls as well as the ceiling. And we've also introduced some vinyl wall decals for that branding component. And you'll notice that again, the finishes throughout the space, we're utilizing that finish capability for branding as well. Now, here is your collegiate arena, right? So this is like the final typical in the deck. This collegiate esports arena, you're going to notice how it differs from your typical computer lab, even more so than the other ones, right? And even more so from the high school spaces that we just shared in the earlier slides. This arena not only focuses on the competition, but it focuses on the experience, right? So like traditional college sports, there's always a good chance that some of these athletes, they're there on scholarship. These big donorship dollars are funding the space. So international streaming is a much bigger component. So we have to plan for that in the design. So these spaces are typically heavily branded, right? They're also outfitted to accommodate a larger, much more diverse group of spectators and gamers. You're going to notice that the gaming zone, or where the competition is held, it's elevated. It's on a platform. Gamers that are competing are in rows. The training zone, so to speak, is separate from where the gaming is actually taking place, because these guys are second string, you know, they're back up, they're conditioning themselves, getting ready to go in. You've also got, like I said, various seating options for the spectators, tables and chairs, lounge seating in different group sizes. Commentating is much more distinct. It is front and center. It is a heavily centrally located, heavily branded, a larger area that allows for bigger streaming capabilities. This is usually where your streaming is going to take place. And the central, it being centrally located allows for that real-time coverage, right? So just to give you a different shot of that commentator, this might be something like what the commentator area might look like.
And if you notice on the work surfaces for the actual players, it's not a rectangle going across. It's actually more of a, you know, a U or a, sort of a, you know, cutout or whatever. In fact, Mediatechnologies.
You're talking about the actual gaming station?
Yeah,
I know it's hard to see there, but it's got a little belly. It's got some belly room right here, like a little dip.
Yeah, Mediatechnology actually has a gaming work surface that they our patent is pending as far as that whole thing goes. That's
Yeah,
really
I was gonna in the very last slide, we'll talk a little bit about our esports product suite. Because you're gonna see, we've got some we'll get there in just a second, because we've got some products that we are in the process of finalizing. In the process of finalizing. And the one that you're going to see, the Cirrus sports station, gaming station that you see in a lot of these designs, that one's already up on our website. But to Tim's point, we do have some really unique designs. You know, we're not one of those manufacturers who has a table that's really a multi-purpose table that we coined as esports in our esports brochure. No, we have esports products that are dedicated to esports, that were designed around esports. So I worked for those manufacturers who just have that multi-purpose chair, and then they make it the esports chair because they painted a color and put it in that brochure. That's not the case here. So we do have a dedicated, now we do have some multi-purpose lounge seating and stuff that you might see in some of the spectator area that we use in some of our media center applications and cafetoriums and stuff. But as far as the gaming and even some of the commentating products, they're specifically engineered and designed for this use. So that's a really important. So we're in the process of finalizing the imagery, and like Tim said, one of them is even in the process of being patented, and those will be live on our website in the coming weeks, as well as a new brochure. But I wanted to point out just a different an elevation shot of that commentators section. This is a place, well, it's obviously when you're streaming, it's going to be really visible because that's where your live coverage is coming from. So that's going to be the place that's really heavily branded, that needs to be equipped to handle. Usually you're going to have two commentators, you're going to have some dual monitors, some streaming equipment. So it needs to be big enough to manage that kind of thing. And again, you see the acoustical products to allow for some of that noise control and that sound mask.
Yeah, and even getting into the branding too, if you notice that the edge, the BVC edge is actually a reddish color or whatever to go into the colors. And then if you notice the base colors on the tables and that, you know, this is totally one of those rooms where you do want it branded to the nth degree, because they are projecting this over, and they're trying to get people to come to these colleges, you know, for this type of stuff. So that, you know, there's a lot of money involved, as you saw in that.
You want a NASCAR out? Yep, you sure
do.
NASCAR
out. That's good. I like that.
Yep. So
Melanie, it is 5:03 or 5:04. So just
okay. Yep, I got 2 slides left. So 2 slides left. So just real quick, just keep in mind that usually in your collegiate atmospheres, your zones for storage and coaching and remote training are typically in the adjacent spaces. They're not in the main area. Coaches' offices look like typical, you know, private offices with a lot of concentration in secured storage, because that's usually where they keep their backup equipment. And then your huddle rooms look like your typical touchdown. This is where you'll have some additional training outside of the main space. But this is really concludes the esports and branding and education. I just wanted to mention that if you guys think of any questions or have any questions after this, or you just want to connect, you can scan that QR code. It'll take you to my LinkedIn page. Let's connect. We can keep the conversation going. Please consider me a resource for anything you have moving forward. I'm here. That's all I got. It was almost there.
Thank you for the great presentation and all the wonderful insight. I know, though, I'm not going to remember all this. Can you quickly tell me where we can go for just some more information?
Yeah, so you can refer to the last 2 slides in the presentation for links and additional resources, like our website, our blog, which actually has a new esports post on it, our YouTube channel where you can find that video I shared earlier, We've got a white paper, we've got a case study. There's a link for the gallery of installation photography that we recently did. There's also a link for the eSports products. Right now, like I said, the Cirrus student station is the one that we're featuring on there now, but we are actually, Joyce and her team in marketing are finalizing the eSports brochure. They're working on it now, and we should have the imagery and the pricing up for the rest of the products in the coming weeks is our goal. So these are some other links that kind of expand on the content that you guys heard from me earlier. Keep in mind, we will be an exhibitor at EdSpaces this year, and we will have an eSports showcase. So please stop by and see us, and you can see all this stuff in person.
All right, thank you. You're real quick as far as on the raffle, then if anybody has any questions. God, I didn't even do this. This is tough. First one is Melanie Craycraft.
Oh, I thought I won something. I was so excited.
Dropped off as far as that goes, but she was on there. Next one is Brian Gibson. And then Brianna Hoyle. So thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, let us know. And if not, we appreciate you taking time. And thank you, Melanie. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Great. Have a good one. Let me know if I can help.
Thank you.
All right, bye.